why students feel anxious when the
Sir, this is a really good topic. First of all, I'm really glad you're addressing this. So my first question would be, what if the student doesn't really know how to speak?
One of my questions was, what if the examiner asks a question that is out of what they've prepared? Like,
after this discussion I also realized there are some tips which if even you guys follow it. Hello everyone, welcome back once again to the another video. This video is very special because we had to think on finding the topic, especially relating to the Viva. And after discussing with the Amod and Varad, we thought of making some video why students feel anxious in the exam, especially in the Viva exam. And for that, we have joined today. So I'll quickly give you an introduction of who we have with us in this rendezvous. I have Amod Patwardhan. He's a second year BBA student. Hello, Amod.
Hello, sir.
I also have Varad with me. He's also a second year BBA student, and both of them they're going to go appear for the Viva tomorrow. So hello, Varad.
I
I also want to have a disclaimer. I'll be posting this video on my channel, and it's purely for the academic and educational purpose. And I hope you guys don't have any problem.
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you so
no.
much. Thank you so much. So, as I told you, we have a topic today is why students feel anxious when they are supposed to appear for those sort of exams, where you'll have to sit in front of the examiner and give the answer of some questions. So, anxiety is feeling of fear or it can be uneasiness towards something. It might cause you to sweat, feel restless and tense, and have a rapid heartbeat. It can be a normal reaction to a stress. For example, say you might feel anxious when you face to a difficult problem before taking a test or a viva or before making an important decision. It can be relating to anything. The common symptoms of those especially includes either you feel nervous, restless or tense. Also you feel panic, have increased heart rate, also breathing rapidly, sweating, trembling, feeling weak or tired. So these are some common symptoms of feeling anxious about the Viva exam. From the student's point of view, Amod and Varad will raise some questions, will raise some issues. Why students feel anxious when especially comes to the exams? And I will try to address your questions. So I would really appreciate if you could ask any sort of question you have relating to the Viva exam. Over to you guys.
Yeah, of course. I'll go first, Varad, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead.
All right. Sir, this is a really good topic. First of all, I'm really glad you're addressing this. So my first question would be, what if the student doesn't really know how to speak a certain language? Suppose they're expected to speak English, then is it fine if they communicate in another language, or like how should they go about that?
Okay. Being the first question, it's really important, and I appreciate the sort of question you have raised. Unfortunately, it's a biggest flaw in Indian society, especially. People linked intelligence with the language they communicate to, especially if someone speaks in English. So they have a misconception that the kid or the student is very bright. So it's nothing like that. If you're comfortable in Marathi, if you're comfortable in Hindi, but not Tamil and Telugu, but you should also know that which language the examiner can understand because it's ultimately exchange of the dialogues, right? So if you're good in Marathi, Hindi, English, whichever language you give the answer is fine, but I'll recommend you to make yourself comfortable and confident to speak in English because you have done your project in that language. So it's easy for you also to communicate because you have done in English and you will speak in Hindi or Marathi. So that also be a little problematic for you and for the examiner also, right? But if
Right.
you're confident and comfortable in Hindi, you can use a mix of, say for example, if somewhere you want to explain something in Marathi or in a regional language, and if you explain, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Over to you, Varad.
Yeah. One of my questions was, What if the examiner asks a question that is out of what they've prepared? Like they have the student has his own paper, they have written their project, and then the examiner takes a look at the project and asks something that is completely different and unrelated to the subject.
Okay, so generally what happens, initially the questions will be based on your project. Say, for example, if you have done a project on how the YouTube algorithm works, say, for example, it's a little technical topic, which I have taken as an example. So the first question would be based on, like, tell me what you have done in a project, and then what answer you'll give. It will give a scope to the examiner to frame the second question, right? So if the question is asked how Instagram analytics works, right? So you'll have to politely ask the examiner, saying and bringing him back to your topic. Say, for example, sir, I'm so sorry, but I have done the project on the YouTube analytics and how it works, not on the Instagram. So I'll be more comfortable if you could ask me the question, something relating to the YouTube. So it is the polite way of bringing the examiner back on track. ऐसे होता है, like in many cases, even as an examiner, whenever I take the viva of the student, sometimes we go out of track, but it's a responsibility of the student also to bring the examiner back on the topic. And it's not like you are rude to the examiner.
Okay. Yeah. All right. My second question would be, many a times us as students, we're sitting on the benches, and during a viva, we are right in front of the teacher, and it can get a bit intimidating at times. So what would be your suggestion to that?
Okay, I can correlate this question, saying, where you get comfortable, right? If it's your regular classroom, so you have a habit of sitting at a particular place, right? So even as an examiner, when we take the viva, so we don't directly jump to the core questions. So to make that candidate comfortable, generally the question, I think I also added in Varad's question. So the first question would be, okay, Varad or Amod, can you introduce yourself? Then can you tell me something about your topic, what you have done, right? So it gives those questions gives you an opportunity to speak for on something that can also brings in the confidence, because we know, like, sometimes if the vivas are happening in the meeting room or maybe in the conference room, and where there's a professional setup, even if it's a classroom but which is new to you, so it may happen like you don't feel comfortable. So to make the candidate comfortable, those basic questions are generally asked initially.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
My next question is, what if the candidate is feeling like they are going to fail the Viva, like when it comes to their project and also their actual Viva where they're asked questions, like what should I do if like I'm feeling like, okay, I'm just going to get failed, I won't understand anything, everything is going to go downhill, like those kind of thoughts, like how to tackle that.
Here there would be two type of, those questions can come to the student's mind. One is failure in a project. Second is failure in the viva.
But
So failure in a project is purely in your hand, because you need to be confident that I have sincerely taken the efforts to make this project, to do this project, right? And for that, it's not like, one day before you were told to make a project and you did it overnight, right? Generally you have 3 months time in hand, so you'll have to take sincere efforts to make your project. So that question shouldn't come to your mind, what if I fail the project, right? Second is pretty uncertain, like what sort of question can be asked, what if I don't know the answer of those questions. Fine. So generally, what happens if the student fails to give the core, I mean, the answer of a core questions? As I also mentioned in Amod's question, like first questions would be very basic, like tell me something about your project. Okay, then if you could say I have done a project on this topic, then the next question would be framed, right? And we expect if there are, say, for example, 5 questions asked to you, at least you should answer 3 questions from that. 50% answer should be given. And even if you fail to do that, there would be a last question. Okay, fine, tell us something. What you have done in your project, because a lot of student, they believe that examiners are evil and they are going to fail the student It's not like that. It's a misconception. Even the examiner want you to answer of some question and get the good marks. And that's the reason that the Viva exams are scheduled and conducted to bring in the confidence in the student, in the candidate, so that they can speak about what work they have done.
Okay, so my next question is like students being feeling like okay, I haven't like this is a very common occurrence. I feel like students like most of the time they do not prepare enough or they don't prepare at all for the Viva. So like how then that also leads to anxiety during the actual Viva. So like how like what can we do to tackle that?
See, it's not like some magic will happen. You'll prepare overnight. Even if you don't prepare, and basic question would be asked to you, and you can easily crack and pass the Viva. Right? For that, you'll have to take sincere efforts. You'll have to prepare. You'll also have to know what you have done. You'll also have to frame the answer of some questions. Say, for example, if your project is based on how the Google Analytic works, right? So basic questions you'll have to prepare for: what is analytics, what is Google Analytics, how analytic works, what is the role of analytics in decision making, how analytics used in business, right? So those are some sort of, I mean, basic questions you'll have to prepare, right? So without the preparation, if you go for a Viva, then definitely you will be very nervous and won't have confidence to answer to the questions.
As a student, I have done this myself, and many a times we prepare the night before, and we might get really anxious during that time. And when we come and sit in front of you, and then there's the examiner and there's the internal examiner, and we are completely blank at that moment. So that could be a reason due to lack of sleep. So how do you think we could overcome that?
Even if this is a good question, and I have seen so many students, they'll just come a day before the Viva, they'll show the project, and there would be 100 corrections, and the whole day will go in making those corrections, and then taking that project for a printing, and then preparing overnight and coming next morning and sitting for a while. Definitely is going to cause a lot of stress, leads into anxiety, right? So I'll suggest you not to do anything before, I mean, 2 day before your Viva. You should be thoroughly prepared with your entire project, binding, and all sort of of the question. If your Viva is scheduled tomorrow, and the night before that, you shouldn't even read your project, and that's going to give you your confidence. And if you think like overnight I'll prepare and next day, I'll confidently pass or crack the Viva, then it's again a misconception. Because overnight, if you prepare, there would be 60 pages in your project. What you will remember, like whether you remember, you will try to recollect and remember the objective, statistics, graph. Like it's going to be all together again a mess of the information which you are trying to gather and try to put it in your answer when the question should be asked. So it's a journey of those 3 months or maybe 2 months, which is given for your project. So you'll have to have a consistency in making the project. It's not like in 1 week you made a project and you'll crack the Viva.
Right, right, definitely.
So this question of mine is a bit similar to the first one. It's basically students have a fear of not knowing which question exactly is going to be asked. So like before an exam, students are given a question bank. In the question bank, at least we know, okay, and nothing apart from this is going to be asked. But for a project, everyone's project is different. So everyone will be asked different questions, and like the probability of the examiner asking you the question that you've prepared the most for is very less. So how would a person tackle that situation, like being thrown into the unknown when it comes to questions from the examiner?
Yeah, it's very uncertain, like which sort of question would be asked, but uh, what you have done in the project. So mostly like 90% of the questions would be from your project. So as I told you, when you're preparing for the project, so at least initial question you'll have to, and those are the fixed questions. Say for example, again, okay, tell me what you have done in a project. Okay, briefly introduce about your project, what you have done. Right. So you should be able to summarize it, what you have done. Even I have seen so many students, they cannot answer this question. Like if you could ask them, tell me something about your project, and they'll just tell the title. So we don't want to know about the title. It's already written. We want to know what you have done, right? And if the student says like I have collected the information from the Google and A and O, then what you have done, is it only just compilation of a data which anybody can do? What is your contribution in making the project? Is pretty uncertain which sort of question would be asked, but there are some questions which are going to be asked, like summary of your project, research methodology of your project, conclude your project. Like these are very common questions. This would be asked to each and every candidate, right? Because also the question like tell us the takeaway of your project. By doing this project, what you have learned, like what Varad you have learned, what Amod you have learned by doing your project. So some learning at least you should be able to put on table, that yeah, these are the five learnings, or these are the five key takeaway of my project, right? So those questions, and if there are some uncertain, if there are some questions which are being asked which are not there in the project, so as I told you, either you can say I'm so sorry, I don't know the answer of this question, but I'll definitely read and get back to you if you permit. That could be a smart way of handling an unknown question, or the question which you cannot answer in the Viva exam.
My question would be over preparing for a Viva, or like over preparing for the project. Like you know a lot of things, like you know each and every detail, but you don't remember the basics. Like you know all the high tech details.
Okay, this actually happens with the student, those who are advanced learner. Like we categorize them into not actually slow learner, but we categorize one category of a student. Those were the advanced learner. So they over prepare for the project and don't remember the basics. Say, for example, they know all statistics, what they have done. They know the research methodology in detail. But if we could ask them, okay, fine, tell us the objective. If we could ask them, okay, fine, tell me the complete title of a project. So they don't remember, right? So that is one way of giving also the importance, equal importance to the basics what you have done in your project. And also at the same time, it also happens. Say for example, Amod is a regular student of my class. Also, Varad is a regular student of my class, right? So we don't necessarily ask them, some higher question, because we know they have genuinely done the project. They know in and out of the project. So just to check their understanding, basic question would be asked. So students should also don't have to get disheartened, like I had prepared the bigger questions, the advanced questions, but the basic was asked to me, right? So I say vice versa bhi hota hai. If you prepare basic, advanced question can be asked, right? So if advanced questions you have prepared, the basic can also be asked. So you'll have to learn the art of balancing the preparedness for your topic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
So my last question would be, so you've written you've created a very good project. It is cut to cut with all the data. It is compiled very well. It has all the information that you need. But when you actually submit the project to the examiner and he checks it and he asks you a question about the project, then you tend to forget almost everything. And then like the main question is like, what if the examiner thinks that your project is copied, even though it isn't?
ऐसे होता है. I've also seen, some students surprisingly will get the project and they'll say like, I have done this project. And teachers are very much smart these days. They are also equipped. Right? If you submit some project to me, we'll run through a plagiarism and we'll quickly come to know from where it has been taken. Right? So coming back to address to your question, which actually makes a lot of student anxious about the Viva exam. So in that case, what you'll have to do, you'll also have to bring the internal examiner in picture, saying, "No, sir, you must have. It's a misunderstanding. You must have got looking at my project. I have sincerely done this project under the supervision of my internal teacher, and also ask the teacher to intervene and bring that confidence back that this is not a copied project." That's actually going to help you.
Thank you, sir.
My last question would be, what exactly should the project look like? Like when it comes to the presentation part of it, like small details, like should it be printed front and back, or should it just be printed front only? And um, yeah, that can really get to us sometimes because we are not really clear on it, how it should look like.
these minute details are also very much important because they're unnecessarily going to stress the candidate. Say, for example, as once upon we were discussing about the color printing and stuff, right? So you'll also have to get it clear well in advance from the subject teacher, like page number 35, page number 24. There's a graph, and it has to be in color, right? So on the day of examination, on the day of Viva exam, if the teacher says to you, okay, why didn't you get it printed on, say, for example, some other type of a page, or maybe a color print. So unnecessarily you'll again have to rush to the printer, get it printed again, bind it, right? And which will cause you the stress, right? So get it cleared, like which all are the pages where you want to get into color print. Also, which sort of printing has to be done, whether it is a spiral binding, whether it is a golden embossing. Also, the printing back to back printing is allowed. But again, you'll have to remember, say, for example, if your project is of around 60 pages or 100 pages. So I'll suggest you to take back to back print because it will be compact, like it will be in 50 pages. But say, for example, if your project is of 20 pages only, right? So I'll suggest you to take the single print so that it will be a sizable project, right?
Right,
So that can
right.
actually help you to feel more confident about, taking that print of your project and going for the examination.
Definitely, yeah. Well, that those are all of my questions as of now, and thank you so much for answering them.
Thank you for your guidance, sir.
Thank you so much, Varad and Amod, since you also have your Viva exam scheduled from tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. After this discussion, I also realized there are some tips which, if even you guys follow it, beneficial, helpful, and you will feel more confident. So there are 6 tips which I have shortlisted on my list. We will divide them into what you can do before Viva and after Viva. So 3 are before Viva and 3 are after Viva. So first one is, I keep on telling this to everyone, like you should go thoroughly through your project. What you have written, you should know in and out. What title you have given, you should know what objectives you have added, what you have added in the conclusion, right? So you should thoroughly know the project. That can actually help you to feel more confident, and you will also get the feel that you are thoroughly prepared. Second one is, make a list of all the corrections. So don't go with having mistakes in the project. Say, for example, if either it is spelling, whether it is grammar, whether it is giving titles, highlights, everything. Because it's your project, you have done it. So you should know where you made the mistakes and try to correct them before you could go for the final printing. And the third one is, which is very basic again, there would be some eventuality may come. Say, for example, if you're traveling for the exam to your college, and if there's a signal or maybe some construction going on, or maybe delay in train or maybe in bus, so those eventuality are not in your hand, but try to keep ample time in hand and leave home so that you will reach well in time to the exam center. Because what will happen, like if, say, for example, if your Viva is scheduled at 10 o'clock and if you reach at 10:15, so unnecessarily you will feel overstressed because you're already late, right? So you'll forget what you have prepared, and you'll be more tensed whether sir or ma'am is going to grill you that why you got late, right? So those 3 things will help you to feel more confident. And also there are 3 tips which you should remember when you're appearing for the Viva. The very first is, go in with the good attitude. I think I also had mentioned it. Don't see the examiners as a evil torturer. So instead of try to think of your examiners as people who are really interested in knowing what you have done and to clear to pass the Viva exam. Second point during the Viva you'll have to remember is, believe in yourself. Yeah, you have spent the last few months reading, making, writing about your project. So you are the expert of the stuff which you have mentioned in a project. So that is very important to go with the positive attitude that you know in and out of a project, and you're going to give the answer of any sort of a question which are going to be asked to you. And the last one is again very basic but still very important, which can enhance and boost your confidence, is dress for the Viva success. Yeah, these days generally mostly colleges have the uniform, but this is generally applicable. You should try to make a proper effort to dress smart on your Viva day. making you feel more confident. So these were some tips which I want you to remember when you're preparing and going for your Viva exam.
Yes, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. So here we have come to an end of this a rendezvous, come discussion relating to why students have uh, the anxiety relating to the Viva exam, especially. So today I got to feel like you guys are taking my Viva. So you went on raising the queries and I went on answering them, but it was a good attempt. Is there anything that you want to say to the viewers and to your peers? Over to
I
you.
hope tomorrow's Viva doesn't have as many questions as I asked today.
Uh,
Amod?
and I wish you all the best of luck and pat yourself on the back afterwards.
Okay, fine. So I believe our viewers will also have must have loved the sort of questions which Amod and Varad raised and the way I also tried to address them. Fine. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you have any sort of queries, feel free to comment them. We'll definitely get back to you. Fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.